Hi everyone, it's StariAri and I'm here to give you your weekly galactic guidance. But this time we're going to do it different. We're going to do a pick a card, okay? So we're going to start with pile number 1 right here, which is the Amethyst Merkaba. Pile number 2, which is the Rose Quartz Heart. And then finally pile number 3, which is the Crescent Moon in Labradorite. So go ahead and connect to your guides and guidance and ask for which pile has the message that you need at this time. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, let's see what you guys got for pile number 1. You got the constellation of Tucana, the toucan. You have stubbornness. And then Asterope, the mother energy or love. Unconditional love. Okay, so let's talk about this constellation here. Okay, so this constellation Tucana lies in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so we might not be able to see it at our part of the world, and so it is represented by the toucan, like I said before, and this bird is found in tropical and subtropical regions in the globe, of course, in the southern hemisphere in particular, unless you can find it in a zoo. The constellation was introduced by the astronomer Petrus Plancius, I believe. Yeah, that's how you say his name. When he observed sailors, and kind of like I would say he discovered it in the late 16th century. Okay, the constellation is the home to the Tucana dwarf galaxy, and this is a small Magellanic cloud or globular cluster. You can't see it here in the actual picture, but you can if you research it. And so it's kind of like there's several other notable deep sky objects within the actual constellation as well. So it's kind of fascinating to observe online because we can't observe it right now since we don't live near it. So anyway, so that's all I have. There's no real legend behind this. There isn't anything. There's just kind of like this is, and size wise, this is the 48th biggest constellation out there, and then I believe it has its neighbor to the Octans constellation and the Phoenix constellation. So if you find those, then you find Tucana. But I think that's about it when it comes to these things, these objects and whatnot. So let's move on to the actual energy that you might be stepping into or out of this week. So we have stubbornness from the Pleiades. So to me, this means there is change that is coming, and there's probably a hesitance on your behalf regarding these changes that are coming. Maybe there's something that you weren't prepared for. Maybe it was a surprise. Maybe it was something that you were not really aware of, or you were aware of, but you were not fully 100% in agreement with. Okay, and this could be anything from moving. I feel like it's moving. If I feel like you're moving somewhere that you don't agree with, maybe you have a partner that got a job somewhere, different city or different state, and they're moving the entire family with them, right? And you're like, oh crap, right? And you're just like, I don't like it. I'm not ready for this. I don't think the family's gonna like it there. All these things, right? It's because it's very scary moving to a new location, especially if you're so used to living somewhere for such a prolonged period of time that when you do move somewhere, it just feels like it's like the wrong move for you. Or even if you are attached to where you are, possibly because you have roots there, such as your family, friends, clubs, activities, things like that, or even business associations. Your kids go to school, things like that, it might not be a good move for your family, or you might think that way, and your significant other might think otherwise, right? So anyway, make sure that you talk to each other about the nervousness and the fear that you might have when having to move somewhere, or maybe transitioning from a job to another job. You know, these are very difficult things for someone to really get accustomed to. You know, being the new person in a new job or career is very scary for a lot of people. It gives them anxiety because they just don't know if they're going to be happy there, or if some drama might ensue, or other things that might transpire that they're not fully mentally, emotionally ready for. So the best thing I can say is communication is the key with these things. If you have to move somewhere, if you have to move careers, if you have to do anything that changes your routine, then you need to speak about this. Okay, you need to communicate your feelings to your loved ones who are involved in this as well. Okay, so moving on, we have pretty much the ultimate energy that's going to come out when you do communicate is love, and understanding that you're supported completely, that wherever you go, you're going to make it your home. Okay, wherever you transition to, especially when it comes to career, it's going to be fully automatically yours because you're putting your energy into it. You're putting your efforts, you're putting your devotion, and you're putting all your mental thoughts into creating a perfect environment for yourself, okay, and for your family and for your loved ones and whoever it is that is involved in these transitions. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. All right, you guys chose pile number 2, and you chose the constellation Scutum and the card for Vega, which is self-discipline, and Taigeta, the home. Okay, so let's talk about Scutum. Okay, this is actually from the Heracles family, and it's a shield. Okay, that's what this is. So this constellation can be found in the southern sky. Okay, it's not in the northern sky. So those states up north can't see this, only the ones in the south. So this is the shield. It's in Latin. The word is scutum in Latin, which means shield. And this is actually the 5th smallest constellation in the night sky. Constellations originally was introduced by Johannes Hevelius in the 17th century, of course. Anyway, we're with this constellation because it is linked to Heracles, the family of Heracles constellations, which is Aquila, Ara, Centaurus, Corona, Australis, Corvus, Crater, Crux, Cygnus, Heracles, Hydra, all those in legend, which is connected to his legend. We gotta really see this as kind of like a shield, a way to protect, okay, that's what it was used for. So that being said, it does have a major star, and that is Ionina A or Alpha Scuti, okay? And that is one of the brightest stars in the constellation, okay? So it's like right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's right here. Alpha Scuti, okay? So that being said, let's talk about what does protection mean to you? What is shields? What does that represent for you? It just feel that there is a lot going on energetically speaking. I already talked about this on my channel, but you guys can feel free to check it out on StariAri Toltec Shaman on YouTube regarding energy transference and enmeshment issues. Okay, and it might be that that's what you guys are going through right now, where you're picking up on things that are not even yours, particularly feeling like energy is being transferred to you from other people, and so on and so forth. This is not uncommon. You're not going bananas, you're not going crazy, okay, you're not insane. This is a very common thing that happens to people, especially those who are very sensitive to emotional transference as well. Okay, it's not just energy, it's emotional transference, or what a lot of people call empath. Okay, what I like to tell people who are that sensitive is, if you are finding yourself having irregular mood swings, if you're finding that you are seeing the same cycles play out in your life that your friends had told you about, with that's happening in their lives, or that if you somehow got a reading from someone and they divulged, some type of problem that they're having, or things like that, or you are the reader and your client divulges some type of issue that they're having, and then you find that the cycle ends up happening to you too, then that's what happens with enmeshment. Okay, that is what happens with the energy transference. You might not be aware until these cycles start to manifest themselves in your reality. And so it's very important for us to clear our energies anytime we make contact with someone who's having a difficult time. It's okay to listen to them. It's okay to be there for them and be supportive and give advice. But after that connection has completed, meaning that conversation is over, make sure you take care of your energy. Okay. Make sure you bring back your energy. Make sure you clear your space, clear yourself through either saging or smudging, whatever it is that you have at your disposal. And you say it out loud as if it's like that you're giving it, you're giving your energy, returning it back to yourself, and whatever energy doesn't belong to you, you either ground it or transmute it or return it back to whoever it belongs to with love. Okay, with love, with love. All right, so that prevents any of these things from happening in the future. So that is how we catch a cycle and we close it. All right, so that's what I feel this card energy is representing, is kind of not like necessarily just to shield yourself, but to really understand whose energy you're taking on, whose life you're taking on, whose problems you're taking on within yourself. All right, so moving on, self-discipline. Self-discipline is all about that too, about the spiritual path, being disciplined within it. If you are on the spiritual path, there is a lot of things that you might not be aware of, and this might be something that you weren't even aware of to begin with, but that's okay. Not a lot of us are just, not a lot of us are born into families that teach these things to us at a very young age, and a lot of us are. But anyway, self-discipline, making sure that you are constantly creating a sacred space for yourself, constantly clearing energies for yourself. When you come back from an outing, clear yourself. When you come back from a party, clear yourself. You don't want anybody's energy to transfer to you in those situations, especially if there's alcohol involved. And also, when it comes to spiritual, the spiritual path it's very unique to the individual, but I always recommend having a routine, having a ceremony. Okay, having a ceremony with the self, with your practice. So if you can get into a routine, such as you wake up in the morning and you do your morning mantras or morning affirmations, or get into a state of gratitude, or you go outside like I do and welcome in the sun, singing to the sun, and then bringing my entire energy back from the ether. That's what I do, especially if I'm feeling groggy because I've been traveling. all over the place. And then I smudge my energy completely, myself completely. And then that's what I do in the mornings and get ready for my day with a mindset of gratitude, right? If you can do that, if you can make something like that a routine, it's definitely going to fortify your practice, because then you're going to be much more in alignment with your path, and you'll be able to assist people better if you are doing such things as to taking care of yourself before you help others, of course. Moving on, we have the Temple Taigeta, the Star Taigeta home. So this is all about the search of outside of yourself for information, for any type of gratification, any type of, I would say, anything that makes you feel good, right? Or uplifts you, that you search outside of yourself for that, where you rely on other people to do that for you instead of relying on yourself. So maybe you're struggling with self-confidence, and maybe you have to confirm what you are going through with readers, with the astrology of the day or whatever. And I don't know. it just feels like you might be doing too much of that. Okay. Remember, like I said, energy transfers, even on the internet. If you watch someone who's reading something, like for instance, right now, if you're watching me, I always recommend to people to clear yourself right after, because this is obviously an access of energy. If you are accessing this reading and I'm talking to you, therefore I am opening myself up to assist you, if you're willing to, of course, have that assistance. But I always tell people, make sure after you watch anything, good or bad, doesn't matter, you clear yourself. Okay, you purify your energy so that it doesn't get entangled with anybody else's energy, so that the influence isn't of others but your own mind. Okay, so this is the same thing. It's kind of like search within yourself for the answers. I know it's very easy to just go and ask someone to give you answers, but it's so much rewarding, so much more rewarding to figure things out on your own. Okay. And the best thing that you can do is do your own readings for yourself, or use any other divination tools that you might have at your disposal to do such things, or meditate. You know, a lot of people don't like meditation. A lot of people don't like to just sit there. You know, it might be difficult for a lot of people, but meditation is one of the best things that you can do for yourself to help you with self-discipline as well, and to find answers for your own self and for your own path. Okay. So all of this, the overall energy is kind of like, make sure you're not enmeshed or entangled with other people's energies, other people's belief systems are not heavily influencing you, your thought processes, and then the way that you perceive the world. And then if you do want to get into your own spiritual journey right away, or this is something that you've been thinking about for a very long time, then it takes this self-discipline, and of course this going within yourself, okay, to trust your intuition. The more you practice it, just like when you go work out, you're building muscle memory. The more you practice intuition, such as using divination tools or meditation, the stronger it gets. All right, so that's all I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. All right, so if you chose pile number 3, you chose the constellation Cassiopeia, the Queen, or the W constellation. As you can see, it forms a W in the night sky, and Orion, leap of faith, and then Merope, the star, shame. So let's talk about this constellation real quick. Cassiopeia is one of the largest constellations located in the northern sky, and its name is coming from the legend of Perseus and Andromeda. Andromeda happens to be Cassiopeia, the queen's daughter. Cassiopeia is a character that is kind of like in legend. She kind of gives you the kind of like the I would say the lesson not to be boastful and not to anger the gods, right? Not to mock the gods or not to say the Lord's name in vain type of thing, right? So that's because her kingdom, her king and herself alike did not give tributes to the gods, and they didn't like them, right? And so because of that, it was kind of like they're rebelling against the gods, right? And so they would say some really outlandish things to be offensive. And so Cassiopeia, the queen, just so happens to say something very offensive about her daughter and the goddess Aphrodite. And that is that her daughter is much more beautiful than Aphrodite herself. And of course, the gods hear of this and they start to punish. All right. And so, yeah, so that is the lesson: not to be boastful, not to be selfish, and to give tribute to the gods. Okay. So, anyway, let's look at the energy here. What's going on? So I feel this is something that has to do with a feminine energy, motherly energy. There might be conflict in the home. There might be conflict in family between mothers and daughters or mothers and sons, and so on and so forth. But I also feel like this has to do with direction. Okay. It feels like there's a direction that you're headed towards, or something that you made up your mind about, that you are giving information to your mother about, and she's not supportive about it. Okay. She thinks that you are not thinking clearly, or you're not considering other options, or there's something going on here. Okay. There's something that they're not agreeing with you 100%. It also feels like this is conflict that is not new. This is something that has been going on for years between yourself and your mom, where she ends up not being super supportive in the beginning, but then she sees how you've dedicated your time to these things and to these directions, to these goals, and you've accomplished them every single time. And that's when she's probably saying, oh, congratulations on that. Or she probably says, oh, okay, and doesn't say anything. Still not supportive, still not satisfied, right? But anyway, I feel that might be the issue that's coming up, and it has to do with a transition happening here, right? A leap of faith. So it might just be that your leap of faith might be to really deal with this issue, with this relationship of her not being as supportive as she should be, right? Or the leap of faith would be you doing what you told her you're going to do, and even though she doesn't agree with it, you do it anyway. All right. So whatever it is that's going on, is because it has an Orion influence. It's definitely something very I wouldn't say negative, but it's very difficult, okay, emotionally speaking. So take the time, communicate, is like whatever it is that you want to communicate, because that's super important. Because if we don't communicate, then people are not going to understand us. But then if we do try to communicate and people shut us down, I'm feeling that your mom probably does this a lot, then we're just like, okay, whatever, I'm going to do it anyway, right? That's where you are at this time. It's like, whatever, if she's not letting me explain these things, if she doesn't understand me, or she doesn't see the bigger picture, she doesn't see my vision, then I don't have to explain myself. I could just do it anyway and prove to her how wrong she is. once more, right? Very rebellious energy, I feel, which is okay. That's fine. You know, do what makes you happy. Okay. So next one is shame. So I feel this is another tactic that your mom might be using, where she shames you with, oh, you're not considerate of other people, or she tries to tell you, oh my God, you're so selfish. You think you do whatever you want recklessly and la 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 la, right? And she's just saying this because she herself is afraid, because she never ever took risks in her life, and she is where she is because of it, right? She never once stood up for herself. She never once went after the goals that she wanted to, and then she sees you doing whatever you want without worry. Then she's just like, I can't believe how selfish this person is, or I can't believe that's my kid, you know, things like that. Well, a lot of shame comes in because, or you might be feeling that because of her projections, of her you know, not being able to live her life and seeing you live your life happily and completely, right? And so that's what I feel, this is what you're going to be struggling with. And it's very important for you to not feel shame, and just be like, you know what, I'm done feeling like I don't deserve these things. I'm done feeling like I'm going to fail. I'm done feeling like I'm going to, like, self-doubt or afraid, because she is projecting that. And just be like, you know what, I don't have to listen to this. I don't have to hide what I want to do. I don't have to hide who I am. It's like, love me or leave me type of scenario that you might be confronted with this week. Okay, so I recommend you do what your heart desires, and you ask for assistance from your higher self and guides if that's what you want, or even more support from your friends, because I'm sure you're going to find much more supportive people in your friends group, or even within your family beyond your mother. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys for this week, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.